Hello, crypto world. Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. So today I have the XRP chart open, and I would like to make what I believe is a pretty important video. So what I'm going to do is give you the big picture, show you the seasons, the different times in the XRP chart that you should be aware of if you're an investor in XRP. Now, this is not the 10,000 foot view. This is the 50,000 foot view. So it's a really big picture. And the best place to start is at the beginning. So I'm going to go all the way to the very beginning of the XRP chart to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we are at the very beginning of the XRP chart, all the way back in 2013. So that is when the chart started. Now, what I'm going to do to make this a little simpler, I'm going to put color-coded boxes on the different seasons of the chart so you can get a good visual of what I'm talking about. Okay, so within the XRP chart, there are three basic fundamental seasons that exist. There is a sideways range-bound time where price does not go into a bull run, it does not decline into a bear market. It essentially generally goes sideways. Now, it does have some movement in it. It does move up a little. It does move down a little, but it's, for the most part, constrained. So this precedes the bull run. Understand that. So once it gets to a certain point, XRP changes its season. It goes from being that sideways range-bound time into the bull run. This is a very short time, but it is a spectacular time. At some point, it comes to a peak, and then it enters into the declining season or the bear market. And I have this in the red box here. So as you can see, the sideways range-bound time and the declining bear market take up the majority of the time. So most of us are in it for this right here. Now, this bull run season is part of the overall pattern, but you need to know where you are in the pattern to have an idea of when this will happen. Now, I wish when I first got into XRP, someone had a video like this and to help me know where I was in the chart, but none existed. So I went on a quest and deep dived into this chart and have come up with what I believe is very helpful, revelatory information that I believe everyone should know. So that's why I'm making this video. Now, as you can see, the sideways range-bound time, the bull run, and the decline repeat. So we have it over here again. Once that decline ended, the bear market ended, it goes into a sideways range-bound time. That's another thing to make note of. So after the decline or after the bear market, XRP goes into a sideways range-bound time. Just like that sideways range-bound time comes before the bull run, well, it happens again. And after the bull run comes the bear market again. So as you can see, this gets pretty repetitive. So it is my belief that within these times, within these seasons here, these fractals, these patterns or these structures are actually repetitive. So this structure right here that comes before the bull run, for instance, plays out here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so you see how this structure moves up here, and then it drops, and then it moves up again, and let me zoom in a little, and you see this little tiny correction that takes place before it moves into the bull run. Well, that structure, that fractal, repeats over at the end of the other one that I just showed you. Let's go over there. So this one took place on a larger time frame. So which brings us to another important point. Timing, height, and depth, they're all going to be unique every single time this structure plays out. So here we see it move up again, it moves down, moves back up, and then it does that little correction before entering into the bull run. So you see how that structure played out again, but this time it looks different from this time. So even though, here's another important thing, the patterns or the fractals may look different, but structurally they're doing the same thing. XRP in a decline repeats this structure over and over again. So what happened here is repeated here, and it's the same principle. It structurally, just like this one did the same thing, and this one over here did the same thing, structurally, they're doing the same things here. This one right here is structurally repeated here, but the appearance looks novel. It looks unique, and that is because timing, height, and depth make the repeated structure look like it is something original compared to what happened here per se. But if you zoom in and you examine the structure, you'll see the similarities. Let's look at this capitulation fractal and compare it to this capitulation fractal right here. So we see that price declined here, and then it moves back up, and it does this one little peak, does this other little peak, comes to a low right here, and then does this other little peak, and then does this swoop down to the capitulation point before moving back up into this fractal. Well, let's go over here and examine this. Now, this one takes place on a more vertical axis versus the horizontal one. So, but as you can see right here, it moves back up, it goes down, you have that little tiny bump, just like you had over here, that little tiny bump, it's repeated there, and then it moves down, comes to a point, and then you have this little peak right here, which is right here, that precedes the swoop down, and here you have the swoop down to a capitulation point. So structurally, they do the same thing. So this here does the same thing that this does here. However, because of the timing, the height, depth, and in this case, even the orientation, this is more on a vertical axis versus this one's on a more horizontal axis. All that makes for something that looks similar, but they're different. But structurally, they do the same thing. They move up, they have this little bump, it moves up, it has this little bump, it has this little peak right here, this little peak right here, and then the swoop, here the swoop goes up higher before falling down lower than here. So I hope that makes it simple, or it's understandable that structurally these fractals are repeating. They may look different, but they are the same. So we see this plane down here, and then at a certain point, XRP just has this massive bull run that it just knocks it out of the park, goes completely way above what was down here and into this new kind of plane. But the same pattern plays out. You had the sideways range-bound time here. You have the bull run. You have the decline. You have the sideways range-bound time here again. And this makes it easy to see there's 3 different fractals in this sideways range-bound time. And then it continues to move up. This one was only a transition between this plane and this very big plane over here. And I believe that now this is speculation. I believe something like this could be part of its structure, where you go from one plane, do an intermediate plane, and then to another plane. So if this is true, if this speculation is true, we would be repeating something similar. So I took off the boxes, but just as you have this one bull run here that's higher than the second one, and then it goes flat, goes into its range-bound sideways time. After these 2 bull runs, then you get this really large one. Well, I believe something like that is potentially at play again over here, where today Here's that intermediate one, and then today we have a really large one, which is the current all-time high, and then we have the next bull run that didn't go quite as high, just like happened back here. So if this continues, if this structure is true, the way I believe it might be, what we would see is another range-bound sideways time, which we are entering right now, and after which we'd have a very large bull run that would really be a transition bull run into even a bigger bull run. Of course, all those will have the same sequences. So let me put those sequences back on, or those seasons. Okay, so I put those seasons back on this larger plane. So again, we have the bull run, followed by the decline, followed by the sideways range-bound time. And again, once that completes, it starts again, goes into the bull run, the decline, and now we are currently just entering into this sideways range-bound time. And as you can see here, it took a very small amount of time, whereas here it took a very large amount of time. So timing is unpredictable. We don't know how long these seasons will take. We don't know for certain how high the bull runs will go, and we don't know how long these declines will take. But what we do know is that there is a repetitive structure at play in all of these. So we can know, just like we do here, that we have completed the decline by knowing the repetitive structures at play. What this is this right here. It's the first fractal, the beginning of the first fractal of the three different fractals that take place, as I pointed out here, in the sideways range-bound time. So we need to go through all three before we get to the next bull run. So everyone's always wondering, how high will XRP go? Will XRP go to $10,000? I don't know. But what I do know is if it does, this is going to be the path that it goes to get to there. It's going to continue to do the same structure over and over again, continuing to make higher highs over time, and that is how it would get to an amazing number. So this structure, it's important to have an understanding of it. I recommend you subscribe to this channel if you want to know further about this structure. I devote a lot of time and effort into explaining the structure and keeping up with the fractals and keeping you updated as these structures play out. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, it'd be much appreciated if you smash that thumbs up button. You know, I'm not a financial advisor, so none of this information that I present here should be used as financial or investment advice. I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.